up, everybody? This is Nightwing2303 from SneakerFiles.com. Today we have another performance review, and it's on the Nike Zoom Hyperenforcer. So without wasting too much of your time, let's get right into it. So as usual, we'll start off with the bottom of the shoe here. As you can see, we have full-length herringbone, and upon first impression I thought that this was going to be fantastic. As far as it being a complete upgrade from the original Hyperfuse, it's kind of a yes and a no. There's definitely a lot more traction along the outrigger here. The heel, it's pretty much the same. The heel in the original Hyperfuse worked, and the heel in here worked as well. I didn't notice anything with these little, I don't know what these are, these little like rubber things. I thought they were going to, be for compression with the cushion, and maybe if you were a post player, so if you're backing people down, the harder that you press it would compress, give you a little bit more grip. I didn't notice any of that, but I'm not really a post player, so I can't really assess that, perfectly. And then as far as the traction around the forefoot goes, which is pretty much where I use my feet as a guard, I thought that the forefoot here was pretty much perfect. The outrigger was pretty much perfect. It was the ball of the foot and the center that I did not like, and that was pretty disappointing because as a guard, that's pretty much where most of my pressure is just right along this section of the shoe. The reason that I did not like it is because they have the herringbone traction, but it's all different types of shapes, so and thicknesses. Along the midfoot here, it's very thick and very dispersed, so you got a lot of thin lines and things like that. That's perfectly fine. Along the forefoot, it's a little bit more together, a little closer together, so you got a little bit more court coverage. And same thing on the outrigger. And the material is flexible, by the way, so the rubber is nice and flexible, but it's this section here, instead of the traction coming out at a peak, it's pretty much flat right there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the difference, but hopefully you can. But all right here is flat versus this stuff, which is peaked. So the shape of it is like this, which is good for friction along the court, but what they did was it was kind of like that, like a flattened top to the design here, and that just would, combined with dust, it just didn't work. On a perfectly clean floor, just like most other shoes, these work perfectly well, but if you're working with a dusty court, that section especially, it just clogged up. It didn't really do much of anything, and I had quite a bit of slipping, so that was a little bit of a disappointment, especially since I was expecting to have awesome traction. But so on a clean floor, perfectly good. On a dirty floor, it's a hit or miss. Try not to use the ball of your foot, which is hard, but if you're a forward and things like that, or a power player, you might not have that issue. But if you're a quick, fast-paced moving guard, you might have some slippage along the forefoot area, right around the ball of the foot. As far as the cushion is concerned, it's pretty much the same exact setup that we've seen in the Hyperfuse and the Hyperfuse 2011. So you have a Phylon midsole, and then you also have the the full-length Zoom bag. Sorry, I had a brain fart. But basically you have your Zoom bag here, left to right, covers this whole area right there. That feels great, just as it did on the previous two models. And then the Phylon midsole also feels nice once it's broken in. It does take a little bit of time. Again, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but there's a bunch of compression lines throughout. The design that they use to sculpt the midsole is kind of cool. It goes in, and it comes out, and it goes back in, and it comes out. So all of those sections where they kind of dip in a little bit, that's where you're getting a lot more of your compression upon heel strikes, and it feels very nice, but again, it takes a little while to break in. So the first couple of nights, don't worry, it will get better over time, and it'll feel just like all the other shoes. If you played with either of the other Hyperfuse, then you're going to definitely like the cushion setup in this. So material and fit. Materials, they're good and bad for me personally, and the fit I thought was awesome. The materials themselves, you have a Flywire and fuse based system. That's the part that I didn't like. It's very similar to the LeBron 9, where it's just very, very stiff. you know, fused material is pretty stiff on its own depending on its thickness, but these took that to a whole nother level, just like the LeBron 9. The LeBron 9 had different issues as far as flexibility goes, their midsole and things like that. So this doesn't have that issue. It's just mostly the upper. Again, it does break in over time, and the good part about it is that most of it is fused, so you probably won't see any of the scuffs or anything like that. But this stuff is super durable, and you know, again, I say this all the time, but you can't really beat the Hyperfuse material as far as durability is concerned for its overall lifespan. And as far as the fit is concerned, this small area, I did go with a size 9.5 instead of a size 9, so I went a half a size up, by the way, because it was too snug. But this area right here, this does press into your foot. It gives you a little bit of a hot spot. It takes some time, again, to break in, so once you do that, you'll get used to it. And then along the midfoot here, the way that they implemented the flywire I thought was awesome. Here, let me try to loosen these up real quick. But I kind of wish that they would do this more often with a flywire shoe. I think that this is really cool. It could potentially minimize a lot of the materials used along the upper. But basically, your flywire pieces, usually you'd have a straight across cut. So I don't think I don't know if I have anything right behind me. I don't. But basically you'd have a straight across cut, and these ones, they kind of go looped. So each piece of flywire that is here is almost like it's independent. It's not quite independent, but it's very close to it. So as soon as you lace up your sneakers, you're definitely having each of these act like fingers, and they just kind of harness that section, that section, that section, all the way up to the top. What's great about that is that you can kind of customize your fit along the midfoot section. So along the forefoot, if you need it really tight, you can do that. And then right here, say you have a high sitting arch, you can lower or loosen these up a little bit, but they'll still, you know, cover up your foot. And then, you know, again, at the ankle, maybe you want those a little bit tighter, so you definitely get that tight feeling. You lock your heel in and you're good to go. So as far as that's concerned, I think that that is awesome, and I definitely liked it. It's far better fitting than the original Hyperfuse and even the Hyperfuse 2011. So I definitely like that. The tongue itself was okay. It wasn't that bad. It's got a lot more padded sections, so all the way down, and fit very nice. The heel is, well, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I'll take out the insole and see. Okay, well, I won't do that. But basically, the heel is very sculpted. It's very nice. You have an internal TPU heel cup right in here, so that keeps that heel locked in. You also have TPU panels along the sides here on both the medial and lateral. They're kind of like wings, and I'll get into that in a little bit in the support section. But basically, go half a size up with the fit. The lockdown was superior. I definitely liked it. Love the midfoot section, almost like it's independent flywire pieces. And the materials, again, very durable but very stiff. So just be on the lookout for that. Expect to have a good amount of break-in time, both with the midsole cushion and the upper. So as far as the ventilation is concerned, you know, you have your fuse base upper, so you got a lot of that mesh there. It's on the toe, and then along the tongue, there's a lot of perforation holes. The tongue itself, it was great. You had quite a bit of ventilation through there. The interior of the shoe, though, this is something that I've been seeing a lot lately with any shoe that has ventilation holes in it, where it's it's very deceiving as far as like what it's actually providing you. So along the inside, it's all lined, so with this like felt material or some sort of cloth, it's going to allow, you know, some airflow in there, or some of that heat to escape and moisture and things like that, but it's definitely not doing it the way that it should. The original Hyperfuse construction, it wasn't perfect in the ventilation department, but when you're comparing it to something like this, it definitely was better, which is surprising because, it should get better the more time that you go on, but in this case I just kind of felt like it took a step back. So ventilation could be better. I don't know if you'd actually want to fix that. I'm sure you can go along these little things here. There's like cutouts and maybe cut out the material, but you'd probably be cutting the mesh as well. So I don't know if you'd actually want to do that. But you know, breathability, it was decent. It wasn't anything special. Definitely just in a warm-up, I was able to, my feet were just, you know, starting to perspire and get very, very hot inside the shoe, and I wasn't really even doing anything yet. So it definitely could have used a better source of ventilation just by not blocking all of those holes that they put in there, which is kind of, in my opinion, it just defeats the purpose. So as far as support is concerned, basically you have a lateral outrigger right here, hopefully to prevent a rollover. You have the internal heel cup, and then you have those TPU wings that I was talking about earlier. This side right here is very narrow down here, and it gets thicker up here, so it allows more range of motion, less restrictive, whereas the medial side here, it fans out, and it's a lot thicker, so that one does actually restrict your motion quite a bit. In my opinion, I think that those should be flipped, just because as a guard, you want more range of motion along your medial side. That's kind of where you're going to be turning into, pushing off and things like that. And then you're going to want more support in case you roll so that you don't, you know, go all the way over. Other than that, that's pretty much all the support that it gives you. Besides the actual fit itself, the material is pretty supportive as well, just because it's thick and it's durable. Again, it's pretty stiff. So that takes care of that. And it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Could be better. But you know, the addition of these wings is definitely nice. I just wish that they were on the opposite ends of each other. That way you can have less range of motion on this side and more range of motion on this. Alright guys, so that pretty much takes care of the review on the Nike Zoom Hyperenforcer. Overall, it plays pretty much like all the other, you know, fuse-based shoes, especially with the midsole and cushioning, because it's pretty much identical. One thing is that the material takes a while to break in. Both the midsole and the upper, because the upper has got flywire fuse and all that stuff. So it definitely needs some extra time, but there are some good points to it. Just because traction has herringbone does not mean it's perfect. So I've learned that quite a few times with multiple sneakers that have herringbone on them. And some of them have been great, some of them have been disappointing. So if you are an outside player, you know, play predominantly outdoors, you might not want to go with this version, but they do have an XDR version, and there's a bunch of differences as far as the upper and the outsole. I don't have any images with me right now, and I don't play outdoors, so I won't be testing those, but basically the fuse layer that's on the top of the outdoor version is very, very thick and very, very rugged. I saw them in person, and it'll hold up a lot better. I mean, fuse material will hold up perfectly well outdoors, but I mean, that stuff, they just took it to another level as far as durability is concerned. And then the outsole itself, XDR, is durable rubber, so it's meant for outdoor purposes. And then the traction pattern itself is not anything like this, where this is herringbone. The traction pattern on the outdoor version is all different, and I can't find pictures online to show you, but maybe if you can check them out in the store, you'll see what I mean. And the rubber itself, you could definitely feel a difference just by, you know, messing with it, like touching the grooves and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in indoor purchases, this is a good option. If you're interested in the outdoor version, because you play outdoors predominantly, look for the XDR version. There's currently, I think, 2 colorways available. So sorry for talking so much. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all your support, and make sure to stay tuned, and we have more stuff coming. So thank you guys again, and until next time guys, have a good one.